Chosen one, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and feel the stillness that just entered your space. This isn't coincidence. Heaven has literally paused your scroll. Out of thousands of voices online, one divine whisper caught your attention, and that whisper is this message. You didn't stumble across these words by chance. You were summoned by alignment. Every delay, every detour, every not yet that confused you was never rejection, it was orchestration. The Spirit of God has intercepted your routine to remind you. You are right on time. Heaven is moving in your direction, and this word has been authorized to meet you in your present moment of decision. Something is shifting in the unseen. You've felt it lately, the restlessness, the pull, the sense that something larger is circling your life. That is heaven's way of saying, prepare, the appointed hour has come. What you are about to hear is not information, it is activation. These words are living keys meant to unlock the next chapter of your destiny. So still your mind, quiet your heart. Every distraction, every doubt, every voice that told you you're behind, let them fade into silence. Right now, eternity is leaning toward you. Angels are listening. The Spirit is hovering. The throne has spoken your name. Chosen one, this is your kairos moment, the collision of divine timing and destiny. Heaven has paused your scroll because your life is about to move. Chosen one, hear this with your spirit. This is not coincidence. This is divine appointment. Heaven scheduled this encounter long before you even knew what you would need today. The very fact that you are here, breathing in this moment, means the heavens have aligned for revelation. God has synchronized eternity with your earthly timeline, and what feels like interruption is actually orchestration. You've walked through seasons that made no sense, doors that wouldn't open, prayers that echoed in silence, moments where you questioned if heaven still remembered your name. But what you called delay, God called preparation. Every unanswered prayer was positioning you for a greater unveiling. What looked like stillness was God adjusting the scenery behind the curtain, setting the stage for your breakthrough. Habakkuk 2-3 declares, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it tarry, wait for it. It will surely come, it will not delay." That appointed time is now, not tomorrow, not someday. Heaven is declaring, today is the hour of manifestation. You've entered the moment where waiting meets fulfillment, where prophecy turns into reality. This is the kairos moment, the divine collision of God's timing and your destiny. You may have felt unseen, hidden, or forgotten, but God was never absent. He was weaving your story into His grand design, ensuring that every detour would lead you straight into destiny. The tension you've been feeling is not frustration, it's spiritual contraction before divine birth. Chosen one, heaven has leaned toward your life. The angels have been briefed. The timeline has been activated. You are not late. You are right on time. What God promised in secret is about to be revealed in public. The waiting room is closing, and the release has begun. Stand still for a moment. Sense it, the divine current beneath your feet. You are stepping into what heaven has been preparing all along. This is your appointed hour. This is your kairos, and it begins now. Chosen one, when heaven laughs, it is not the sound of amusement, it is the sound of authority. God's laughter is not mockery, it is militant joy, a holy decree that the battle is already finished. When the King of Glory laughs, darkness trembles, because that sound carries the vibration of eternal victory. Psalm 2-4 declares, "He who sits in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision." This isn't sarcasm, it's sovereignty. It's heaven announcing that every strategy formed against you has already failed. While the enemy plots, God laughs, because the ending is already written. His laughter is heaven's way of declaring, "You cannot curse what I have already blessed." When God laughs, timelines shift. What looked delayed is suddenly accelerated. What felt impossible becomes inevitable. His laughter is the sound that echoes across eternity to remind creation that his word cannot return void. It is not the laughter of distance, it's the laughter of dominion. It says, "I have seen the end from the beginning, and my child wins." Every time the enemy whispered defeat over you, heaven responded with laughter. That sound didn't mock your pain, it mocked hell's presumption that you could ever be destroyed. God's laughter is heaven's courtroom verdict, a ruling of victory in your favor. It's the divine seal that says, "Case closed. My child triumphs." Chosen one, if you could hear what's happening in the spirit right now, you'd stop worrying. Heaven is not panicking about your situation, it's rejoicing over your outcome. Angels are smiling because they've already seen the final scene, the one where you walk out victorious, clothed in glory, holding everything you once thought was lost. So today, let that sound fill your heart. The laughter of heaven is not denial of your struggle, it is proof that the struggle has lost its power. God laughs because he knows no weapon can prosper, no curse can cling, no plan can prevail against his decree. When heaven laughs, it is not reaction, it is revelation. It's God declaring from his throne, "Victory has already been written in your name." Chosen one, heaven measures power differently than the world does. The earth celebrates grand gestures and visible results, but heaven celebrates small obedience, the quiet, hidden, faithful acts that no one sees but God. In a world chasing noise, heaven leans in when your whisper says, "Yes." You see, every time you choose obedience over convenience, something shifts in the unseen. Every time you pray instead of complain, forgive instead of fight, or show kindness when bitterness feels easier, you release power that echoes in eternity. The smallest step of obedience carries more spiritual weight than 1,000 empty declarations. Heaven's economy multiplies what man ignores. Remember what Jesus said in Luke 16:10, "Whoever can be trusted with little can also be trusted with much." God tests greatness in the soil of smallness. He watches how you handle what no one applauds, how you serve when no one is watching, and how you remain faithful when there is no spotlight. Those quiet moments become the foundation of destiny. Heaven is not impressed by performance. It is moved by purity. When your heart obeys even through trembling, the angels record it as thunder. When you forgive without recognition, heaven writes it as triumph. When you give your last ounce of faith to keep believing, heaven crowns it as victory. You may feel like your prayers are whispers lost in the air, but they are not. They rise before the throne like incense, carrying fragrance into the courts of heaven. God counts every tear, honors every hidden sacrifice, and multiplies every unseen seed. What you thought was small is already monumental in heaven's record. Chosen one, don't despise your little yes. That yes is shaking unseen realms. That yes is watering seeds that will feed generations after you. The obedience that feels invisible is the very obedience that builds eternity. So stay faithful, stay rooted. Keep saying yes, even when no one notices. Because in heaven's eyes, that small step of obedience today is a giant leap toward your divine destiny. Chosen one. The way heaven measures your life is not the way earth does. People look at numbers, titles, and recognition. Heaven looks at faith, endurance, and heart posture. The world applauds outcomes, but God celebrates obedience in process. What seems insignificant to men often shakes heaven's courts with power. You have judged yourself too harshly, comparing your journey to others, assuming that visible success equals divine favor. But heaven does not weigh achievement the way earth does. God does not count followers, he counts faithfulness. He does not measure applause, he measures alignment. The greatest victories are often the ones fought in silence, where only heaven witnesses your persistence. Where you see weakness, God sees courage. Where you see a small beginning, He sees the foundation of nations. Where you see failure, he sees training. You call it delay. Heaven calls it development. You see survival. Heaven sees preparation for authority. The reason your progress feels hidden is because heaven often conceals what it treasures. Diamonds are formed underground, not in open fields. Likewise, your hidden season has not been punishment, it has been preservation. God was protecting what he was perfecting. So lift your head, chosen one. You are not behind, you are becoming. The metrics of heaven are eternal, not immediate. Every prayer whispered through tears, every act of faith no one noticed, every moment you chose hope over despair, they are all recorded in heaven's ledger as victory. Stop seeing yourself through the eyes of limitation. You are not measured by speed, but by surrender. You are not defined by visibility, but by virtue. Heaven is already applauding your unseen strength. Remember this truth. While earth counts trophies, heaven counts transformations. And your life, even in its quiet seasons, is already a testimony of divine success. Chosen one, every pattern has a purpose until heaven decides it's time to break it. The enemy has studied your life, tracing your reactions, memorizing your weaknesses, building traps around your hesitation. He expected you to fall the same way you did before, to give up when the pressure returned. But this time was different. You chose faith over fear. You whispered, yes, when everything in you wanted to retreat. That single act of obedience, small to you, invisible to others, shattered a demonic cycle that had lingered for generations. In the unseen realm, your yes was not quiet, it was thunder. It carried eternal weight. It triggered a divine reaction. Heaven erupted with laughter, not in mockery, but in triumph, because your obedience overturned the board. The move the enemy never predicted became the key that unlocked your victory. Think of it as a chess game. The adversary thought he had you cornered, his strategy perfected. He counted on your exhaustion, your past disappointments, your fear of failure. But when you rose again, when you forgave, when you prayed, when you kept moving forward, you flipped the script. The enemy's plan collapsed under the weight of your persistence. This is what heaven celebrates, the courage to choose differently. The moment you broke agreement with fear, you broke the pattern that fed it. The moment you refused to repeat old reactions, you rewrote your future. And heaven's response was immediate. The laughter of God rang through eternity, a sound that announced, the cycle is broken, the battle is over, my child has won. That one decision may have seemed small, but in the spirit, it was seismic. Angels were released. Chains fell. Old doors began to unlock. Your act of obedience carried the same power that split seas and silenced storms, because it aligned you perfectly with heaven's rhythm. Chosen one, never underestimate the power of a single, holy decision. You don't have to perform miracles to move heaven. You only have to obey. Every time you break a cycle, heaven reacts. Every time you choose truth over pride, patience over panic, forgiveness over fury, heaven laughs again, because light has triumphed. What felt like a trembling step forward was actually a prophetic leap. You didn't just escape an old pattern, you initiated a new timeline of favor. The curse is broken, the chain is shattered, and the momentum has shifted in your favor. This is how victory begins, with one unexpected act of faith that rewrites everything. Chosen one, survival was never meant to be your destination, it was the proof of your anointing. The breath that sustained you through storms wasn't just for endurance, it was preparing you to build again. What looked like barely breathing was God strengthening your lungs for declaration. What felt like weakness was heaven quietly charging your spirit with resurrection energy. You didn't just make it out, you graduated from the fire carrying blueprints in your hands. The ashes that once symbolized loss are becoming the soil for a new construction. Heaven is saying, you've been preserved for purpose. It's time to rebuild what fear tried to erase, to create what pain tried to destroy. The season of merely surviving has ended. The era of building boldly has begun. Like Nehemiah rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, you are not called to sit in sorrow over what fell apart. You are called to rise and reconstruct. Don't wait for perfect conditions or public approval. The anointing to build activates in motion, not in waiting. Start while the dust is still settling. Begin while it still looks impossible. Heaven's resources flow toward movement, not hesitation. Every scar from the last season is now a structural beam for the next. Your tears have become mortar. Your endurance, the foundation. The same faith that kept you alive will now become your strategy to thrive. What once felt like rubble is revelation. What once felt like ruins is now raw material in God's hands. Chosen one. This is not rebuilding from emptiness. This is building from evidence. You are proof that what tried to bury you only built you stronger. Heaven has approved the blueprint. Angels have been assigned to the project. Favor will meet you mid-stride. Write the plan, make the call, start the project, sow the seed. Don't wait for a sign. You are the sign. Heaven has already invested authority in your hands. Declaration: I am done merely surviving. I am authorized to build. What tried to bury me now funds my future. By faith, I rise from breath to blueprint, from rubble to rising, from pain to power, in Jesus' name. If this word resonates in your spirit, type, I'm building now, and declare it with faith. Your construction season has begun. Chosen one, the silence you endured was not absence, it was alignment. Heaven hides what it values. Just as seeds are buried to grow, you too were planted in the soil of obscurity so that roots could deepen before fruit could appear. Divine delay is never punishment. It is preparation. God was not ignoring you. He was fortifying you for what's coming. There were prayers that seemed unanswered, dreams that felt deferred, doors that refused to open. You wondered if you were forgotten, but in truth, heaven was building endurance within you. The weight was training your discernment. The stillness was sharpening your spirit. Before God reveals you publicly, he refines you privately. Moses spent years in the wilderness before leading Israel. David tended sheep before he carried a crown. Joseph served in silence before ruling in splendor. Each hidden season was holy rehearsal, not rejection. What felt like delay was heaven perfecting timing, aligning people, places, and purpose for the unveiling ahead. You see, premature exposure can destroy what maturity would sustain. That's why God kept you out of certain rooms and away from certain voices. He wasn't withholding opportunity, he was protecting capacity. The season you called stuck was actually sacred construction, heaven pouring foundation beneath your calling. Chosen one, heaven is now signaling that your preparation has reached maturity. The cocoon is breaking, the training is complete. You have been refined in quietness, tested in waiting, and strengthened in faith. And now, what was hidden is ready to be revealed. Do not despise the hidden years. They are your credibility in the next. The world may see the fruit, but God remembers the soil. Every silent prayer, every private tear, every unseen act of obedience is now working together to reveal the fullness of what he promised. Heaven is opening the curtain. The stage has been set. The time of unveiling has come. What was cultivated in darkness will now shine with divine purpose. The hidden season was holy, and now, chosen one, the preparation is complete. Chosen one, the silence you endured was not absence, it was alignment. Heaven hides what it values. Just as seeds are buried to grow, you too were planted in the soil of obscurity so that roots could deepen before fruit could appear. Divine delay is never punishment, it is preparation. God was not ignoring you, He was fortifying you for what's coming. There were prayers that seemed unanswered, dreams that felt deferred, doors that refused to open. You wondered if you were forgotten, but in truth, heaven was building endurance within you. The weight was training your discernment. The stillness was sharpening your spirit. Before God reveals you publicly, He refines you privately. Moses spent years in the wilderness before leading Israel. David tended sheep before he carried a crown. Joseph served in silence before ruling in splendor. Each hidden season was holy rehearsal, not rejection. What felt like delay was heaven perfecting timing, aligning people, places, and purpose for the unveiling ahead. You see, premature exposure can destroy what maturity would sustain. That's why God kept you out of certain rooms and away from certain voices. He wasn't withholding opportunity, He was protecting capacity. The season you called stuck was actually sacred construction. Heaven pouring foundation beneath your calling. Chosen one, heaven is now signaling that your preparation has reached maturity. The cocoon is breaking. The training is complete. You have been refined in quietness, tested in waiting, and strengthened in faith. And now, what was hidden is ready to be revealed. Do not despise the hidden years. They are your credibility in the next. The world may see the fruit, but God remembers the soil. Every silent prayer, every private tear, every unseen act of obedience is now working together to reveal the fullness of what He promised. Heaven is opening the curtain. The stage has been set. The time of unveiling has come. What was cultivated in darkness will now shine with divine purpose. The hidden season was holy, and now, chosen one, the preparation is complete. Chosen one. When God laughs, heaven moves. His laughter releases a divine acceleration, a sudden surge where years collapse into moments and long-awaited promises rush into reality. This is Kairos acceleration, the moment when heaven puts you in overtake mode. It's not random favor, it's orchestrated velocity. What once crawled will now fly. What once delayed will now deliver. Acceleration isn't about striving harder. It's about divine synchronization. When your spirit aligns with God's timing, everything begins to respond to your movement. Resources locate you. People find you. Opportunities that were frozen begin to thaw. The key is not speed, it's alignment. Heaven multiplies obedience, not effort. There is a divine protocol for acceleration. Alignment over effort. Stop forcing doors that no longer fit your future. Follow peace, not pressure. Acceleration attaches to flow, not friction. Precision, yes. Every yes must point toward your assignment, not applause. Power is preserved through focus. Covenant corridors, God will highlight key relationships, divine helpers, intercessors, mentors who carry access you need. Honor opens velocity, seed and strategy. Don't just dream, sow and plan. Write it down, take the step, and watch heaven breathe on it. Holy boundaries. Protect your energy. Trim distractions. Not everyone can travel at your speed. Focus is warfare in acceleration seasons. When acceleration begins, expect suddenlies, unexpected approvals, supernatural provisions, instant turnarounds. What took others years will happen for you in months. But acceleration also tests discernment. Some doors will open to distract, not to deliver. You must choose assignment over expansion. Expansion will follow assignment. Heaven's laughter has already marked this season. You are not chasing time. Time is bending to you. Every delay that once frustrated you is now fueling your speed. The ground beneath you is shifting to match your stride. This is the divine exchange. Your patience has qualified you for pace. Chosen one, your obedience is not just shaping your life, it's rewriting bloodlines. Every yes you give to God sends ripples through generations you may never meet. Heaven sees beyond your moment. It sees the inheritance you're building for those who will walk after you. What you break today, your descendants will never have to battle again. What you establish now will become the foundation others stand upon. You may think your obedience is small, a quiet prayer, a private surrender, a single act of integrity, but in the spiritual realm, it's a covenantal transaction. Each step of faith tears down ancient strongholds and opens new corridors of favor. The same way Abraham's faith blessed his lineage, your faithfulness is crafting pathways of divine access for your children, your community, and even nations. Heaven records your yes, not as an isolated act, but as a legacy decree. When you choose forgiveness, you end cycles of bitterness in your bloodline. When you choose purity, you break agreements with past bondage. When you give generously, you plant seeds of provision that your lineage will harvest. You are not just surviving, you are building an inheritance of faith, favor, and freedom. Think of it, David's worship didn't just bless his reign, it set the tone for a royal lineage that carried God's promise to generations. In the same way, your endurance, your prayers, your steadfast love are being woven into a tapestry that heaven will display for centuries. Chosen one, you are the turning point in your family's story. You are the bridge between what was and what will be. Your yes is bigger than your lifetime, it's eternal. So walk with holy awareness. Heaven laughs because it already sees the fruit of your faith ripening in future generations. What began in tears will end in triumph. Your obedience is not momentary, it's multi-generational victory. Chosen one, the laughter of God is not casual, it is cosmic warfare. When heaven laughs, it dismantles the strategies of darkness and disarms the weapons formed against you. That laughter is not amusement. It is a sound wave of authority that echoes through creation, breaking strongholds and reversing curses. The enemy trembles at that sound because it reminds him of his defeat. Psalm 37:13 declares, "The Lord laughs at the wicked, for he sees that his day is coming." Every demonic plan is temporary, every weapon limited, every scheme doomed to fail. While the enemy calculates, God laughs. His laughter mocks the futility of hell's resistance and proclaims, "This battle is already over." It is heaven's thunderclap of confidence the victory has been sealed and the verdict cannot be reversed. When God laughs, confusion hits the camp of the enemy. Timelines that were set against you collapse. Traps laid in secret are exposed. The very pits dug for your downfall become wells of provision. That sound shakes invisible foundations and causes spiritual walls to crumble. God doesn't need to shout. His joy carries more power than every demonic roar combined. Heaven's laughter is the weapon of peace that shatters fear. It's the rhythm of victory that reverberates through your spirit, reminding you that no curse, no hex, no word spoken in malice can override what heaven has decreed. When God laughs, it releases angelic armies into motion and surrounds you with a shield of divine confidence. Chosen one, the enemy wanted you afraid because fear feeds his plans, but laughter, holy laughter, starves his influence. Every time you choose joy instead of panic, every time you worship instead of worry, you align with heaven's sound and join in divine warfare. Your joy becomes a weapon, your praise a battle cry, your peace a shield. The next time the enemy whispers that you're losing, remember, heaven is laughing. The throne is not shaken. The plan has not changed. God's laughter is the declaration that hell's best attempt has already failed. Chosen one, rest in that sound. The laughter of God is surrounding you, silencing the storm and crushing the schemes of darkness beneath your feet. The war has been won, the King has laughed. Chosen one, you are not fighting for victory, you are moving from it. The laughter of heaven has already sealed your triumph, and now you are being called to walk like someone who knows the outcome has been written. You are not an underdog in this story, you are heaven's evidence that divine purpose cannot be stopped. It's time to shift from survival mode to sonship mindset. You are not a beggar at heaven's door, you are an heir of the kingdom. You don't have to plead for what has already been promised. When the king laughs, it is heaven's way of saying, you can walk freely now, the way is clear. That laughter is your seal of approval, your divine credential, your assurance that you belong. The enemy wants you insecure because insecurity interrupts destiny. But God's laughter cancels shame. His joy dismantles fear. Every time you move in faith, you announce to darkness that confidence is not arrogance, it's alignment. You are not walking alone. Heaven walks with you. Angels accompany your steps because they recognize royal DNA. Chosen one, straighten your crown. The waiting season trained your spirit. Now the winning season requires your confidence. You no longer crawl in fear, you walk in authority. You don't chase validation, you carry revelation. You no longer ask, am I enough? Because heaven already answered, you are mine. Every step you take from now on is prophetic. Each word you speak carries creative power. Every act of obedience releases new realms of favor. You were not chosen to blend in. You were appointed to set the standard. Heaven's laughter over your life is not just celebration. It is commissioning. So lift your head high. Move boldly. Speak with conviction. Rest knowing that the King's delight is your covering. You are not working to earn approval. You are walking in the approval already given. You are not trying to become chosen. You are chosen, sealed, and sent. Let this truth settle in your spirit. You are already victorious, already approved, already anointed. The battle is behind you. The blessing is before you. Now walk like heaven's favorite, confident, calm, and completely covered. Chosen one, as this message draws to a close, let your spirit rest in the truth that heaven has already laughed over your life. The battle is no longer in question. The outcome has been decided. Every delay, every detour, every tear was not wasted. It was building momentum for this very moment. You are stepping into a season that no force of darkness can delay any longer. Take a deep breath. The weight you've been carrying is being lifted right now. The same God who preserved you in the hidden seasons is now propelling you into purpose. His laughter has become your covering, His joy your strength, and His decree your assurance that victory is already yours. Let this prayer rise from your heart. Father, thank you for your laughter that silences every storm. I surrender my worry, my timeline, and my understanding to you. I align myself with your timing, your purpose, and your peace. Let every step I take from this day forward echo your joy. I declare that I am no longer fighting for victory. I am walking from it. In Jesus' name, Amen. Now declare this with power and conviction. Heaven has laughed, and I am walking in divine confidence. The tide has turned, the atmosphere has shifted, and my life is aligning with heaven's decree. What was delayed is being delivered. What was broken is being rebuilt. What was barren is about to bloom. Chosen one, rise in faith. Carry heaven's laughter in your heart as proof that your story ends in glory. This is not the end. It's the activation of everything you've been prepared for. Walk boldly, speak truth, live generously, and move with holy assurance.